Hello, Janesville, and welcome back to Park Place Views, the monthly program that aims to keep residents informed by highlighting the people, places, and partners of the City of Janesville. As always, this program is brought to you by the City of Janesville and JATVMedia Services. I'm your host, Nick Faust, and I'm the Communications Specialist in the City Manager's Office. Now, in last month's episode, we were joined by Recreation Director Shelley Slapak. With the autumn here in Wisconsin's Park Place and winter right around the corner, Director Slapak helped us learn more about all the fantastic events and programs the Recreation Division has in store. If you're interested in viewing that episode or any past episode of the program, they're all available to watch on demand on the city's website or JATV's YouTube channel. Now today I'm very excited to be joined by a relatively recent guest of the program, although quite a bit has changed since he last stopped by. Chief of Police David Moore began his service as acting city manager of the City of Janesville last month, following the departure of City Manager Mark Freitag. And with the additional role, as you might imagine, comes some additional responsibilities. So our viewers will certainly want to stay tuned to hear what Dave has to say about the new post. But first, a little bit more about my guest. Chief David Moore began his career in law enforcement with the Janesville Police Department in 1977. He was appointed police chief in April 2009. Chief Moore holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration from Mount Scenario College and a master's degree in public corporate communication from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. He's a graduate of the FBI National Academy and Northwestern University's School of Police and Command. Chief Moore is a lifelong Janesville resident, active in many community groups, including the Janesville Morning Rotary. And of course, in addition to his impressive career, he is now serving as our acting city manager. Thanks for joining us today, Chief.
Yeah, hello.
Now, before we get started, I know with your tenured career, I give quite an intro for you, but for folks who maybe somehow haven't had the pleasure yet of meeting you, I thought I'd give you a chance to tell you a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. I grew up here in Janesville. I've had my family here in Janesville. Our children went through the Janesville school system, so I didn't stray very far.
Yeah.
But one probably little known fact about me is my great-grandfather was sheriff in Rock County back in the early 1900s.
Wow.
And his claim to fame was that he took a horse and buggy out and solved a homicide out in the northwest part of the county.
Oh my, that is probably the best fact we have had on the program. And certainly something most folks probably don't know about you.
Right.
So that is good to hear that the roots run very deep.
Right.
And Chief, you know, as I said, you've had this incredible career at the JPD and with the City of Janesville. And after 45 years of service, quite frankly, some folks, maybe myself, would be looking to slow down. On the other hand, you are dedicating yourself further to the community as acting city manager. Why take this role and what motivates you?
This came as quite a surprise, not anything I anticipated. It's an honor
Yes.
to be asked to lead the city, and what a wonderful opportunity to really kind of finish out my year or years with the city. I'll keep that a little bit vague, but what a great way to finish out my career to work as acting city manager.
Yeah, and as you'd said, an incredible honor, incredibly lucky the city is to have a tenured leader like yourself for that role. And for folks at home who might be wondering, you'll retain your duties as chief of the JPD. How will that dual role kind of look in the day-to-day?
Well, first of all, I guess I'll be the first and perhaps only city manager that's a gun-carrying city manager.
Yes, you will.
But there's some statutory reasons why I need to retain my position as police chief.
Right.
And it's really with the staff that I have at the PD and the staff that we have at City Hall that I'm able to split my duties and what I think will be a successful 6 months or so.
Yeah, and I think, Chief, that must speak volumes not only to, as you said, city staff, but also the team at the JPD, that you have the confidence in taking on this additional role and knowing that you have the command staff there that'll support you.
Yeah, I really do. I have Deputy Chief Pearson, Deputy Chief Kleisner. When this opportunity came up, I sat down with both deputy chiefs, and they felt confident that we would be able to maintain our services at the police department. They are both willing to take on additional duties, which is good. And also the city council, in my discussions with them, they recognize that the police department's in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
And we have good culture, good organization, a solid organization, and with that, they felt comfortable that they could ask more of me and more of the police department.
Yeah, and speaking to that culture a little bit, Chief, and all the things that JPD has going, I'd be remiss if I had you here and we didn't kind of follow up on where we were in May, when folks at home might remember we were covering some record low crime stats Janesville has had and some great successes. So just on the topic of the JPD, any sort of updates for the department as we move into the new year?
No, we're doing good with our major crimes, serious assaults, homicides. We seem to be doing quite well there, but I do have concerns about vehicle thefts.
Yeah.
I think it's well known throughout the nation that the theft of the Kia vehicle
Right.
is pretty simple to do, and we have our share of those stolen vehicles. And most recently, I have concerns about our citizens and behavioral health issues. We seem to be helping out an awful lot of people that have those concerns, along with some fentanyl addiction issues. So that takes a lot of our time, and rightfully so. We want to help all these folks through as best we can, but it certainly is an added weight to bear for the police department.
Yeah, some things and some areas to really focus on for you and your team as we move forward. And zooming back then, Chief, out to your newer role, I think you have perhaps, made your intent clear, I should say, but as acting city manager, that is just that, acting city manager, no intentions to come on over to City Hall full time?
Well, there's a few things in this world that I can guarantee, but one is that I will not be putting in for this job full time.
Right, okay. Yeah, good to note, just for the record, and happy to have you for however long that interim period is. Chief, as we look ahead over the coming months, what is your vision for the time you spend as the acting city manager?
Yeah, my role is really to keep the city team moving forward, keep our community moving forward. We have various projects in play already, and we just need to stay moving forward with those various projects and provide the best service we can for the community. Yeah, maintaining a lot of the momentum we as a city organization and community have going for us. And I think one of the great benefits and why the council ultimately selected you, Chief, was you have immense experience in management, specifically managing a decently sized law enforcement agency. So I thought it'd be interesting maybe then to ask, what sort of management styles do you see translating more broadly to the city workforce? Where are there differences? Yeah, I think one of the most immediate differences in the policing leadership, there are some decisions that have to be made quickly and immediately. When you start looking at use of force, SWAT team decisions, and those types of things, those decisions need to be made fairly quickly in dynamic situations. My most immediate view of the role of city manager, I think there is more time. Yeah. And with that time affords us the opportunity to really research issues and come up with the best decision that we can, both for the city council and the community. Mm-hmm. But as far as leadership, leadership is leadership. Treat people with respect, treat people honestly, hold people accountable, and those are issues that are true on either side of the street. Yeah, tenets that translate really through management and leadership in any field. And I think moving then, Chief, what are some objectives and perhaps projects you hope that we accomplish under your reign? Well, certainly the city budget. We need to finish that out, and we'll accomplish that here in the month of November. Mm-hmm. But there's some other projects out there that need some attention. The Woodman's Sports and Convention Center, we're midstream on that. We need to really firm up what exactly that is going to look at, and then at the funding sources for it. And then beyond that, there are just a number of economic opportunities out there that continue to need some work and attract businesses to our great community. Mm-hmm. Certainly. And speaking to that first point, Chief, your transition does come amidst our annual budget process. And former city manager Freitag had presented
the administration's proposed annual budget. But as I understand, November, this month, is still quite a big one for the budget process. I understand we have a public hearing and the potential adoption of this month.
Yes, well, it's important in that we'll bring it to an end.
Yes.
But if you look at this, we really started this budget process back in August,
Yeah.
and we've made great progress. And you're correct. We know we have a public hearing where some changes could be made, and then the adoption of the budget later in November. So come December 1st, this will be all firmed up, and
Yeah.
I think we'll be in a good place.
Always helpful to highlight for residents really the process that it takes in developing that budget, and how staff and council and residents can involve themselves. In that same vein of things to come, Chief, what are some challenges you foresee for the city in the coming months?
I've been spending my time this last week on the Woodman's Sports and Convention Center.
Yeah.
That's an expensive venture.
Yeah.
And with that comes various funding sources. And how to stitch this together to cover the cost of that project, I think, is a challenge, and one that we're going to continue to work, and we'll see how those funding sources play out. I don't know right now how it will, but we need to keep working forward and see if we can stitch together or stack that funding together for what could be a very good news story for Janesville.
Yeah, and an interesting and transformational, potentially, project that will require, like you said, a lot of diligence when it comes to developing that capital stack for the project. And these interim periods, Chief, they can undoubtedly be a bit dynamic with an ongoing recruitment effort running kind of parallel to your time in the manager's office. I know you maybe referenced a time frame a little earlier at the beginning of the show, but what would the window perhaps be for how long you expect to be acting?
Yeah, I would think we should have another manager in place here by any time from April 1st to June 1st, I think, is a pretty fair time frame to expect that leadership change.
Awesome, wonderful. And at the time of taping, a little peek behind the curtain for our viewers, you've been in the acting city manager role for about a week. Any immediate takeaways? How has the first couple days gone?
The staff on both sides of Wall Street are just great. I know my police department staff has really taken much of the burden of the day-to-day operations at the police department. And the city staff has just been wonderful to bring me up to speed on these varying projects, and very supportive. Deputy City Manager Ryan McHugh has been outstanding in briefing me up on some of these issues, and it's just a matter of now plugging into some of the systems at City Hall and stay on top of those projects.
Yeah, well, that's nice to hear. And as the city moves forward then, Chief, in searching for a permanent replacement for the city manager position, could you tell us a little more about how that process will proceed from November on, and who leads that process really in selecting a manager?
Well, right now it's a combination with our HR department, Tara Semichek, and we've hired a vendor called Government Professional Solutions.
Yes.
And they're well versed at these types of processes, and we've worked with them. We have had a meeting with the community, and in which we define the type of city manager that the community wants, that staff thinks that would be good. And from that community input, which we hold as very important, then we'll go about developing a brochure and a profile of the type of manager that we prefer. And then it's just moving forward in the coming months of advertising that management position, getting the applications in. There'll be a vetting of those applications for those people that we think meet the standards that I think will be very high and that we want here in Janesville. And then it's a matter of bringing candidates in for interviews. Eventually, we can get down to a few candidates, and then it's a matter of just continuing to vet these candidates to find the very best person for Janesville.
Wow, yeah. And then Certainly a long process, but by design, really set up to allow us as a community to have our say in what we want Janesville's next local government leader to be, who we want it to be, and then get the council some quality candidates for them to consider for the role. So good to hear we're moving right along on that. Chief, we've certainly covered some ground here today. Hopefully our viewers at home have a little more insight into how you are approaching your time at the helm, so to speak, as acting city manager. Is there anything you would like the community to know before we wrap up?
I think we're going to attract a very good city manager candidate, and candidates for that matter, and be able to attract a very good city manager. Janesville's a wonderful place. We have so much positive momentum moving forward. And I think it's going to be a very attractive opportunity for the next city manager.
I believe so too. And Chief, well, thank you for stopping by. It was fantastic to have you share your vision for the coming months, but more so a bigger thank you for undertaking the role as acting city manager. I know you said it came as a surprise, but leadership transitions, as you know, always have the potential to create unique obstacles. But when you have a leader as tenured, adept as you, it really allows an organization, I think, to traverse that change and continue to exceed and maintain the momentum we talk about. So thank you for serving the community.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you, our residents and viewers, for tuning in today and for all you do to help make Janesville a community of choice to realize life's opportunities. I invite you to stay connected with the city by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, signing up for emergency notifications from the JPD via the Nixle app, and signing up to receive our weekly city press releases by visiting www.janesvillewi.gov/email list. I also want to encourage you to tune into the program next month when I sit down with Rebecca Wiem, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Janesville. The club is one of the city's many incredible community partners, and I look forward to highlighting all the great work they are doing to make Janesville a truly awesome place for our young learners and their families. For Park Place Views in the city of Janesville, I'm Nick Faust. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next month.